With the second incident, it would have been at the very least child abuse,
Okay.
which is past when we can charge it.
Statute of limitations.
The statute of limitations on that.
That was Detective Tyler Reziger of the Alexander County Sheriff's Office, responding to my report of my parents physically abusing me as a child. Here is what he had to say regarding them sexually abusing me as a child.
I know my ADA that I normally talk to very well. I kind of know when she's going to want to do something and when she isn't. More than likely, the incident with you being unclothed in front of them, she's not going to want to prosecute.
I guess money and power really can make anything go away. After they abused me, my parents agreed to pay for my college tuition. After I graduated, they began sending payments to me once a month. Varying amounts, varying pretexts. Some by PayPal, some by check. In September of 22, I disclosed the abuse to the public for the first time. That same month, the monthly payments stopped for 6 months. The payments did not resume until a therapist contacted them directly, and they were 70% lower than they were before. Now they are threatening to stop the payments again if I don't censor my previous attempts to blow the whistle. Yet they ask, why would we continue to do these things for any reason but love? If it was out of love, then why did they stop when the truth came out? And why now are their payments lower even though my cost of living is higher? I guess they just don't love me as much when I don't pretend their transgressions don't exist. Deny, attack, reverse the victim and offender roles. The DARVO response is a common one among psychological manipulators, including my parents. When confronted, they denied that they abused me. When I disclosed to the public, they attacked me by cutting me off financially. And when I refused to take down my online statements about them, they attempted to reverse the roles of victim and offender by falsely claiming that I was trolling and trying to get people to harass them. I would not be surprised if we see them shed crocodile tears, seek validation from the likes of Dear Abby, make much ado of dropping a few rolls of toilet paper at my doorstep, maybe even file a frivolous lawsuit or two. Anything but take full responsibility for the harm and damage they caused. I've told you that my parents abused me in every sense of the word. What I have not told you is the price I paid for condemning their behavior. I've lost friends I've known for years because they believed my parents' lies over my revelations. I'm no longer able to call my uncle because they disconnected his number. I've been denied access to my childhood possessions, including at least one scrapbook that I cannot reproduce. And I've lost over 30 grand and counting in payments from my abusers. I've contacted resource centers, lawyers, and the sheriff. None of them have helped me recoup those losses. Our justice system leaves survivors of wealthy, abusive parents virtually empty-handed. It was designed by aristocrats for the benefit of aristocrats, and it is working as designed. In our last phone call on January 30th, my abusive parents acknowledged they are the reason I have not been able to maintain gainful employment. In an email they sent me on March 5th, they promised to help me with my basic needs as long as I was working on my issues and/or pursuing paid employment. Their prior checks and subsequent PayPal payments confirm that when they say they'll help with something, they mean they will pay for it in full. And in July, while they did use blackmail to try and censor my online statements about them, they also acknowledged that $4,000 per month is reasonable. All they have to do now is stand by their statements. Be responsible, be reasonable, and keep their promise. I've even offered to take down one online statement for each $4,000 payment they make. But they won't do it, even though they know it's the right thing. Did you promise to financially support me?
Yup.
And you stated $4,000 a month is reasonable?
Yup.
I received this statement after this promise, and since you said these things, you should pay me $4,000 a month.
That makes sense to me.
Then pay it.
We sent a pizza.
I struggled to maintain gainful employment because my parents sexually abused me. Sexual abuse can lead to job trouble in several ways. Survivors of sexual abuse may experience trauma symptoms such as anxiety, depression, and hypervigilance, making it challenging to focus and perform job duties effectively. The emotional toll of sexual abuse can lead to burnout and exhaustion, causing us to feel drained and be unable to cope with work demands. Survivors may also struggle with authority figures due to feelings of powerlessness and mistrust, making it challenging to work with managers or supervisors. And when we request accommodations to help us deal with these challenges, we're often met with resistance or a lack of understanding. It's easier to say things like nobody wants to work than to hold accountable the abusers who make it impossible. But blaming the victims won't solve the problem. In the 2nd grade, I attempted to strangle myself with another child's empty Go-Gurt wrapper. In middle school, I put a flag football belt around my neck and sat down. In high school, I had to go to the ER because I took too much of my own medication, and I had to go to urgent care because I had cut myself. In college, I attempted to starve myself to death during a spring break, and I constructed an exit bag. I've struggled with suicidal tendencies all my life because my parents have been abusing me all my life. My father told me that my uncle provoked their father, knowing he had a heart condition. Fundamentally, my father is doing the same thing to me. By willfully breaking his promise to support me, he is worsening my anxiety and depression, and he knows that is very dangerous for someone with my condition. Survivors who were molested as children are 5 times more likely to be sexually assaulted as adults. When my parents molested me at 17, they made it 5 times more likely that I would be abused later on. And unfortunately, that's what happened. For whatever reason, people seem less likely to believe a survivor who admits they were attacked more than once. But remember, just as lightning can and often does strike twice in the same place, survivors can and often do experience more than one distinct incident of abuse. Though my parents were not present for the most recent violation I endured, they are not blameless for it. They still have yet to take responsibility for their actions and the impact they've had on me. They still have yet to keep their promise to support their victim.